All right, so we have, how many more days we have until the new year? 2 more days, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let me, you got it on there?
Okay.
All right, so we have a few more days till the new year, and we wanted to come on and actually do this live and just see what you guys have planned for the new year. Like, how are you planning on making 2019 the best year that it could possibly be for you? Like, what are some of the things that you did in 2018 that you don't want to do in 2019? And then what are some of the things that you did in 2018 that you want to do more of in 2019? I think that when we look at both ways, then we end up getting a nice mixture of things to do and things not to do. So for me, myself, I think some of the things that I did in 2019 in 2018 that I want to carry into 2019 are, man, just getting back to like things that I really, really am passionate about, like things that I really like to do. Getting back to, and some of those things are like reading, meditating, taking walks, going to the gym, right? On occasion, like some days I like doing that. Some days it's more of a chore. Really reading, like I listen to a lot of audiobooks I haven't really read in a long time. Yeah. Sometimes I got a love-hate like relationship with reading. Like I really hate starting a book, and then once I get into it, if it's something good, then I'm cool with it.
I love reading.
And you like reading, right? So that's something that I think you I haven't seen you. Well, no, recently you were reading a book, right?
Yeah, I just read 3 books.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
A week.
All right. So one of the things I'm gonna get better at too is paying more attention to you. So in 2019, I'm gonna pay more attention to Mrs. Cohen here. All right. So what are some of the things that you're gonna do in 2019? What are some of the dreams, some of the aspirations, some of the goals that you have set for this coming year? And we're just a few days away, right? So if you haven't thought about that stuff yet, right, start thinking about it now. If you haven't written it out, the best thing to do is to start writing it out. One of the things that has worked really well for me, and I was just having a conversation with a good friend of mine, Jawar, earlier about this, is just being really intentional. I think that no matter what your goal is, no matter what your dreams are for this coming year and for the next 5, 10, 20 years, right, it helps to just be able to write them out. Like I keep these.
Go over them every morning and night too.
Go over them, right? Morning and night too. So I actually, I went to the dollar store and I actually was buying a lot of these for my staff, right? For my team. And I bought like 30 of these damn things. This one is worn away, but it's a notepad. And basically what I do is I go in and at the end of the night, right? Last thing I'm doing, and this is after we're chilling out, after, we're just laying down in bed, maybe after we're done watching TV, whatever it might be.
You're watching TV.
After I'm watching TV, right? I'll go in and I'll write out my goals. And sometimes I'm going through 3, 4, 5 pages of these. Sometimes it's 1 page, right? And sometimes I'm repeating the same thing, right? Mm-hmm. So it might be boom, 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 boom. And what you're doing is you're ingraining this in your memory, into your subconscious. So as you're sleeping, right, your mind is really going over these things, and you've gotten all of the other stuff, all the other distractions out of the way, so you can focus on this a little bit more. Yeah. And then by the same token, when I wake up in the morning, there's a few things that I do. Maybe we could talk about like morning rituals and stuff like that. One of the things that I do first thing is, I get up. And this is one of the things that I had a lot of success with, and I'm really going to start working on this more in 2019. I don't think I've ever told you this, but like when we grew up in Bridgeport on Helen Street, our backyard was like crazy small. Like our backyard was a little wider than this table. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like we lived in a row house, and there were 5 houses there, and our backyard was like the size of this table. There was no grass or anything. It was just concrete, and there was a fence right here, mm-hmm. right? So one of the things that I do is I have a gratitude session in the morning. So when I first get up, I look out. DMG Donald, I was just talking to my wife about you, man. We were just talking about the conversation that you and I had on Facebook yesterday. So I'm glad you reached out. All right, Tom, good to see you, brother.
Brianna.
All right, Jarvis, good friend of mine I went to school with. Jarvis, good to see you also.
Brianna.
So, and Brianna?
Mm-hmm.
All right, me and Brianna are not friends, so I don't see her. Hi, Brianna.
Nana.
So, Nana.
Yeah.
That Brianna, okay. So, like our backyard on Hammond Street when I was growing up as a teen was like the size of this table. So now one of the things that I do is, the first thing when I wake up, I look outside of our window, right, our bedroom window, and I look into the backyard, and I'm like, man, thank you, for bringing me from where I was at that point to where we are right now. So just having a gratitude session. You're still knocked out sometimes, so I'm looking at you and I'm saying thank you for, my wife, and thank you for allowing her to give me some awesome, cool kids, and just thank you for being you.
We always got to start every morning with thanks, right?
Yeah, we're still starting that with thanks as well. So I think that sets the tone. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not the best at doing it every morning, but I do find that when I do it, when I'm continuously on it, those are the times when my days are really good. Yeah. And those are the times when my mornings are good, my weeks are good, my months are good. And I've even had entire years that have been good when I've stuck to the formula of being grateful and just giving thanks, and just sometimes it's just thanks for the small things, and then after that everything else pops into place. So,
hey, Reese.
What are some of the things, Reese? Hey. What are some of the things that you're gonna start doing more of this year? And you guys too, if you're watching, what are some of the things that you're gonna do this year? Give us one thing that has worked well for you in 2018 that you want to bring into 2019, and then one thing that you want to start doing in 2019. Right?
I think I'm gonna start listening to more audiobooks.
More audiobooks, yeah.
Because I read all my books, and that way I feel like you get more in because you're just
listening to
always listening to them in the car.
Yeah. I think it's a cool way to also get the kids involved with it too.
Yeah.
Because
audiobooks of substance.
Audiobooks of substance, yeah. So intentionally learning, right?
Learning, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Hey, Carolyn.
Yeah. So we got Carolyn on it. So one of the things with audiobooks, right? So I think the benefit to that is we'll take trips sometimes. We're in the car.
Yeah.
Although one of my goals now is to do less driving this year. So being conscious of my time, and we'll talk about that, and doing more flying. But we
fly a lot.
When we like head down to like Georgia or something like that, or when we're going to like Maryland, somewhere local, right? I'll pop in audio. Yeah. I think subconsciously the kids are getting that too, right? So you got to be careful. Though.
Yeah, I was doing affirmations in the car yesterday with Summer and Faith.
Yeah, and they get that.
And
so
they start to repeat them and stuff like that.
And they repeat it also, right? Yeah. So I think with that though, you have a good mixture. Like if you have, you're playing some music also, because you don't want to just have audio going on.
Yeah, right? Sometimes, because then you start to tune out.
You start to tune out.
I think one day I found some on Apple Music, and it was just going and going and going to the next album and going.
Right.
And then it just,
Okay, so being intentional, right? So one of my other goals is, and I listed a ton of them on Facebook the other day. The other I said was to do less driving and more flying, and in that also more traveling. So we kind of got away from more traveling to like places that we just really like different places, like places that we haven't been before. You know what I mean? So I really like that part of it, like just going and sightseeing and exploring. So there's so many different places that I want to go to just on the planet in general, right? And so I just want to pack as many of those as possible into the year. My mother thinks
we've got like 7 or 8 vacations already planned for 2019, so I don't know.
So my mother thinks we're crazy. She's like, why are you always flying? And I'm like, man, I just love traveling. You know what I mean? So that's the other thing, right? So another one of my New Year's resolutions is doing more of what I like, to hell with what people think. Yeah. Right? So sometimes we get so caught up in what other people think. Like, so for example, right? My mom questions why we travel so much, and she doesn't understand why, that man, we just love it. Like, we just love, I love being in different places. I love seeing different things. I love like getting on a plane. I love just like, man, just the drive to the freaking airport is just like, because I know that we're going somewhere. I just love that part of it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, but to my mom, it's like to her, it seems like it's a chore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So she's like, why do you guys always travel so much? And why don't you stay put? And why are you always moving so quick, right?
Yeah.
So you have, if you're not careful, even the people that really care about you, that truly love you, can affect the things that you do. Like, they don't mean any malice by it. They're just genuinely, looking out for your best interest. But sometimes they don't realize that the things that they think they're helping you with can actually be hurting you, right? Because there was a point where I kind of, on the subconscious level, got to a point where I'm like, man, I don't even want to tell my mom that we're going somewhere else again.
Yeah, or we would wait till like the very last
minute. To tell her, because then,
her.
she would be overly concerned or worried or something like that. So you got to be careful about that as well. So so with that, I said, to do what it is that you like to do, regardless of it, to hell with what people think, right? As long as you're not hurting someone or doing any harm to someone, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So, boom. So one of the things I love doing is
Jair is on.
Oh shoot, my nephew just got on, so we can't. I was just about to talk about one of the other things I love doing, so we're gonna have to keep it PG-13, right? The other thing that I like doing is I also like working. Like I like working. I like being on my phone. I like being productive. I like I like producing. I like coming up with ideas and like watching these things come to light. And for a moment, that used to get me too, because I would see people who, again, don't understand why I'm so passionate about working, and they would see me on my phone, even if I'm on vacation or something like.
So you working again?
Yeah, you're working again.
Yeah.
And for a moment, that got to me, right? Like that would get to me, and I'm like, But you also have to think: do you want to fall in line with what everyone else is doing? Not that it's good or bad, right? Some people just don't know. Some people have different interests. Some people look forward to taking time off, right? They may not like the job that they're at, or we're so conditioned to believe that we need time off. Yeah. But if that's not
if you're on vacation, you can't.
Or if you're on vacation, you can't touch anything work, right? But I just love doing what I do. So that's the other thing is, we were talking about this earlier today.
Well, I think it's because you love what you do. You do something that you don't actually you don't feel like you need a vacation from it.
That's a good way of putting it. Damn, you're so smart. All right, so that's the other thing. So we were talking about this earlier, right? Yeah. My goal is to look towards doing more things that I love. Like 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, I set the goal of only working when I want to work, only on the projects that I want to work on, and only with the people that I want to work with. So if you notice, like 3 years ago, I stopped working with a lot of people that would come out and approach me, and I had to be very selective. And I'm saying, like, is this person's energy really where I want it to be? Right. Like, money should never be a factor, I don't think, unless you, like, absolutely are rock bottom, right? And I don't mean being a factor where you be choosy and you're saying, hey, I don't want to work at McDonald's, or I don't want to. Everyone has to come up. Right. But I mean, it shouldn't be a factor in a place where you do things that don't resonate with you, where the energy is not there, and where it's not.
You're just not happy.
You're just not happy, right? Mm-hmm. So that is one of the things that I'm doing too, is just working with more people that I truly enjoy working with, that are in alignment with me, that are ready to go, that are, just as E40 would say, train to go.
I'm not an E40 fan, you are.
All right. So what else we got? Who else do we have there? What else? What are some of the things that you guys are doing? Let's see. Look at some of the comments.
Everybody's just saying hi.
Hey, Jair. How are you?
Jair said, please don't do that again.
Jair says, LaDonna and Mike.
Hey, LaDonna.
Hey, Mike. LaDonna.
Sharon.
All right.
Hey, Sharon.
What are some of the things that you guys are doing in 2019? Like, what are some of your goals? What are things that you're looking forward to doing more of? Let's see. What
Tom Bill says his morning routine, walk and listen to audios. I see you doing a lot of that, Tom. I see you always posting pictures of yourself on the beach with your headphones in. Yeah, I agree.
I think Tom is really good at that too. Yeah. As a matter of fact, if you guys are not following Tom Bill, Tombeal,
smart guy.
Very smart guy. Very, just a very positive guy, very motivated guy, and a guy that is out there. He knows what he's doing. So you should definitely follow him on Facebook. Tom, you actually inspire me a lot. So sometimes I'll see you in the mornings. I'll see you going in for your walks. I'll see, you posting, and it's a reminder to me, hey, to get that quiet time in first. I think
You're up
that's
a little
super
too
important.
early for me, Tom, but
He's up.
I'm getting there. I'm
Right.
up. I'm getting up at what now? 6?
Yeah, but I think that's the other thing too, is just knowing when your time is, right? Like knowing when's a good time for you, right? So one of my other goals is getting more sleep. So sleeping more this year, which I think I've been doing a lot.
Not waking me up at 5.
And not waking you up, right?
Nice.
Right. So sleeping more, right? So knowing when to go to sleep, I think is really cool. I know that now, that if I go to sleep past 1 o'clock, the next day is not really good for me. But if I go to sleep at 12:55, I'm good. I can be up at 5 o'clock. I can be up at 6 o'clock with no problems. But if I go to sleep after 1 o'clock, then it could be 5 minutes after. And I started to learn that about my body. So I think learning about your body and understanding what your sleep patterns are.
I need to sleep in, which our life isn't really conducive to that. So I just have to switch.
So how about going to sleep earlier? Why don't you do that?
That doesn't work, that I still wake up.
You can't go to sleep at 9?
No, I'm not even in the door by 9.
Oh, okay. Like Chris, my barber, goes to sleep at 7. Chris,
I'm not even home by 9.
All right, so
wait. Tom said, "Oh, love you too. We love you too, Tom. See you on the cruise. Yes, see you in a few weeks." And we are actually leaving for the 2 Coma Club cruise on Friday.
Cruise. Yep,
and then we'll see you on the marketers cruise a few weeks later, Tom.
Yeah.
Donald said, "I want to definitely read more informational books next year. So if you have any recommendations, let me know. Ty will inbox you some stuff, Donald."
Yeah, absolutely, Donald. A good one to start with is Think and Grow Rich. I don't know if you've read that one, or I wouldn't listen to the audio. I would definitely read it. And don't let the title fool you. It's not all about money. It's just like getting yourself together.
Well, rich isn't all about money. It's like abundance, everything.
It's about
life
abundance, everything. So relationships, life, and everything. So, but I think the title throws a lot of people off. Like Think and Grow Rich.
I think so.
Right, but once you get into it, you'll see that he's talking about just like all aspects of life. So your spiritual self, your relationships, your finances, and just oneness with yourself as well. So getting to know yourself better too. Right? So
and 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. It's 8 habits now, right? They added one more.
I didn't get past it. 7th one.
I don't know. I don't think I got the 8th one. Anyway, but anyway, 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. That's a really good one.
That's a good one. Okay, yeah. The other one, Norman Vincent Peale's, right? The Power of Positive Thinking, which is an older book, but it's a really, really good book, The Power of Positive Thinking. That's an awesome book. The other one I would suggest is...
You're welcome, Donna.
Who was that? And then LaDonna said her goal is to set realistic goals rather than unrealistic goals.
There's no unrealistic goal. You just got to do it in phases.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No, you know what? You're right. In phases.
I just think sometimes you have to break them down. Like you
Chop
can't.
it down, right?
Yeah, you can't say.
Yeah.
You can't go from making 40,000 and say I'm going to make 2 million this year.
Right.
I think you need to break it into milestones, but I don't think there's any unrealistic goals, really.
Yeah, that's a very good answer. Yeah. I was actually about to say the same thing. So breaking it down and just looking to see, just saying, okay, well, this is what I want to accomplish within the next 12-month period, right? And then breaking each of those 12 months down. This is what I need to do a month. This is what I need to do a week. This is what I need to do a day. This is what I need to do an hour, all right? And that can apply to anything, right? So even...
weight loss or
losing weight, right?
Just educational goals.
Your relationships, right? You want to be better with your wives, guys. Just
or with your kids.
Or with your kids also, right? So being intentional. One of my goals is to make sure that our son Tyler stays on the right track. Not that he's been off the right track, but
he's just at that age.
He's at that age, right?
Yeah.
So as part of one of my rituals, after I'm saying thankful, I go in, I'm writing out my goals, and he's in that goal, right? So he's making sure that Tyler stays on track. It's actually in my phone, so I'll look at my phone and I'm writing it out, because there's something about writing, right? So then now, because I'm intentionally looking at it every day, he's at the top of my mind. So now, I can say, hey, Tyler, are you sure you have your homework with you? You're taking it to school? Because been days where he might do his homework
and leaves it on a banister.
and then leaves it on a banister or leaves it on his nightstand. So now he's in my goals, top of mind. I can say, Tyler, make sure you put your homework in your book bag, right? So that you get credit for it.
We're also intentionally spending more time with him, because I think when they get that age, they become like little hermits to themselves in their rooms. And so just pulling them out. And even if it's good to go do an activity that they want to do, like they always want to go ride go-karts. Well, it's not really my best thing to do, but if that's what he wants to do, if that's what we can do to get him to spend more time, that's what we do.
We're going to the movies. We went to see The Mule yesterday. So just me and Tyler just hanging out, spending time with each other. So put your kids on your goals. Put your wife on your goals. Put your husband on your goals. Put your significant on your goals sheet. Man, there's so many things.
Maya Bryant said, my goal is to continue working on blocking out the noise. It's so easy to get caught up in what everyone is doing around you. I think that's a good point. I think sometimes we get caught up in what this person is achieving or what this person obtained, sometimes materialistically, and sometimes we just need to focus on what it is that we want and not get sidetracked. I think that's really good.
Yeah, that definitely. So one of the other ones is that's on my list of goals is to be less reactive. Right, so that goes in line with what you're saying. Who was that? Maya. So it goes in line with exactly that. So being less reactive, right? So and reactive comes into the play of again being conscious of your time, being intentional with your time. So if you know that you're going to, and you do this by one of the ways that works well for me and guys like Tom. We were just talking about Tom Bill is the night before. Right, saying, and I want to hold off on those real quick because this is a very good one that Maya has, right? And the night before saying, this is what I plan on doing and accomplishing tomorrow, right? And then when you wake up that day, also going over it, this is what I plan on doing and accomplishing today. So now when you're super intentional with it, what happens now is you don't let the distractions come into play. And if they do come into play, you're more aware of them now, right? So you're saying, okay, well, my goal here is to make sure that I go in, I exercise, to make sure that I get X, Y, Z done, and to make sure that I get some rest in, or to make sure that I go across town, or whatever it may be, right? So when that unscheduled telephone call comes in, you're more likely to not answer it. Oprah Winfrey I heard something amazing from Oprah the other day where she said to Stedman, like she would see phone calls that would come in, and it would be people from that she knew that if she answered it, she would be on the phone for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or it would be people that would be draining, like energy vampires, right? And she said to Stedman, man, I'm like losing so much time in my day by talking to some of these people. I love them, right? And I do very much care for them, but they just take so much from me, whether it's time or energy. And Stedman said something to her very simple. He was like, well, why do you answer the phone? Stop answering the phone. Yeah. And she was like, it was like an epiphany, like Oprah, right? We think Oprah knows everything almost. And she was like, that's brilliant. Yeah. So just being intentional with your time in that way, where you just, you see the phone ring, and sometimes you just don't answer because you're going to go down the rabbit hole. You got to be intentional with your day. Yeah. So, the same with social media, right? The videos, and you're on Facebook. So sometimes I'll post things on Facebook, and I never even look at the comments because I know that it'll take me down the rabbit hole, and I don't have that 5 minutes or 10 minutes to spare at that moment. Yeah, to keep going back and forth. Right? Yeah. So very, very good one, Maya. Thank you.
She says she's definitely doing that daily list. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And let us know how that comes across because... I
don't know if you know who Maya is, but she's one of Summer's pageant ladies. She's like a little mentor to Summer.
Oh, nice. All right.
She's a sweet girl. We love her.
Thank you. All right. Jarvis says, thanks for good sound advice. Me and Jarvis Bryant, we went to Edison School together. Me, Jarvis, and his brother
way back.
Jabbar, a long time ago. That was like an elementary school back there. All right. Tom Bill says, great books that you two mentioned. Think and Grow Rich, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, The Power of Positive Thinking. Top 5. Tom, what's your top 5? So top 5.
It says The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Outwitting the Devil.
Oh, that's a really good one by Napoleon Hill too. Yeah.
80-20 by Perry Marshall. I never wrote that.
Very good one. I actually have that one up on my bookshelf, but I have not read it yet.
Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson. We
Really
have that
good one.
And a book by Ty Cohen about his life and journey. Even Joe Vitale, who hears our interview, said he'll be one of the first to buy it.
So Joe Vitale from The Secret.
Yeah, I remember.
All right, so definitely that's in the works right there, Tom. And thank you for the reminder. The other thing is, with that reminder, it reminds me of something else that's very, very, very important when you're shooting to make sure that you achieve your goals, and that is to have an accountability partner.
Yeah.
Right? So Tom, in a sense, right, is holding me accountable. This is the second or third time that he's talking about creating a book around my life story and our life stories, right?
Yeah.
So having someone who can be your accountability partner and having and sharing with that person what it is that you wish to accomplish, what you're going to do in order to get there, right? And who you're going to become. Because sometimes when we want to do something bigger and better than where we're currently at, we have to become someone else, right?
Yeah.
Like, if I was still the same person that I was when we lived in Bridgeport, then I think our lives would be different right now, right? Totally different. So you have to definitely become someone different, and you need someone to hold you accountable. So now, when you find that person, I think there's two things that need to happen when you have an accountability partner. I can't even say the damn word. Right? But the first is have someone that's going to be brutally honest with you. Right? So someone, and older people are good at this. You get a 70-year-old, 80-year-old person who has no filter, they'll tell you when you're slacking, right?
But you have to, it has to also be someone that you don't mind sharing the full vision with too. That's some people are embarrassed by their visions or goals, or sometimes they think it's too big.
They think it's too big, right? Yeah, I think that's a good point. So, someone that you're comfortable with sharing, right? Your goals, your dreams with. Someone that's going to truly be brutally honest with you. If you tell someone that you're considering eating better, right? Then that person, right, saying, hey, you're picking out right now. You know you shouldn't have. You just told me 2 days ago that you want to be more conscious of how you're eating. And then the third thing is dropping ego and being open to that. So if I got a friend of mine, same guy, Jawar, that I mentioned earlier, I told him that my goal was, with Kindle Publishing this was years ago, like 6 years ago when I first started along my Kindle Publishing journey. I said, Jawar, I want to get to the point where, actually I didn't even give him a dollar amount. I had picked up a check from the post office, and it was for Amazon Kindle Publishing, and the check was in the amount of like $9,800 something, right? Just shy of $10,000. And I'm excited. I'm happy about it. I called Jawar up because he's my accountability partner. It was like 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, Jawar, I just got a check from Amazon. It's $9,800 something. And he says to me, Ty, you're bullshitting. Now, he wasn't saying that in the sense of, I don't believe you. He was saying, and you're playing small.
It can be more, yeah.
Like, he's like, why are you just playing them out like just $10,000? Right?
Yeah.
And when he said that, like, man, it totally put things in perspective for me. Like, I was taking my mom breakfast that morning, and I remember it like it was yesterday. I literally went in, took my mom to breakfast, got back in my car, drove to the park, and sat in my car for the next hour and wrote out my plan as to how I was going to get to $20,000, $30,000 a month publishing books on Amazon. And that happened. I have to give him total credit because he was brutally honest enough with me to be able to see the potential in me and to let me know that I was playing small, and to be honest with me by saying, Ty, you're bullshitting, like you're just playing games. You could take this much further, right? So that's a conversation that I'll always remember. What else we got there?
Tom said, wait, you calling him old?
That's funny. But getting someone that is that's gonna be totally brutally honest with you there.
Yeah.
All right. So what else we got? Tom is funny. So check out the books that Tom mentioned there too. Tom Bill, he's got a couple of really good books. He's got some awesome books there on his list. You want a friend who will tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Super important. Super important. All right. So the other thing is, how far are you willing to go, right? How far are you willing to go?
Yeah.
right? Like beyond being average, because mediocrity will only get you more of the same thing that you're seeing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like think about that. So if you're on the same routine,
how much are you willing to change?
How much are you willing to get to change, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then not being embarrassed by changing. As long as, again, if you're not doing any harm to anyone, right? You're not, being malicious, being mean to anyone. Like sometimes you have to make those changes and then be unapologetic about it. Like Jay-Z has a line in one of his songs. He says, "Man, you think I've come this far to not be? You think I've changed this much?" I forget what the line says.
I know the line you're talking about, but I forget it word for word too.
You know?
Yeah.
He says, "You think I've changed and come this far to remain the same person that I was before?" Something to that effect, right? Mm-hmm. And when I first heard it, I was like, man, it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. I got another friend of mine, J.D. Houston, who was a radio personality up in the Northeast, and he said, Ty, he says, people will sometimes be afraid of the changes that you make because it's a sign that
you're leaving them behind.
That you're leaving them behind, right?
Yeah.
And that can go multiple ways. Sometimes you can reach back and you can pull those that are willing to come with you, right?
But most are not.
Most are not, but there's going to be a few that are willing to come with you. And there's also going to be people that will be inspired, I think, by the changes that you made as well. And they'll say, well, if Melida did it, then I can do it. Or if Tom did it, or if Ty did it, then I can do it as well. Or they might say, damn, if Ty did it, that stupid motherfucker, I know I can do it.
Really?
They might be like, are you serious? Like Ty from 8th grade was able to, marry Melida or whatever it might be.
Oh,
or,
yeah, they really
don't get cocky now. Or, like the guy who said he would never have kids, now has kids. Or, the guy who couldn't finish English, 101, who failed it twice. So sometimes you inspire people as well. So, never be ashamed of that part of it also, right? What else do we have? Alan Cutts. Alan, it's been a long time, Alan.
Shanta. Hey, Keisha, Shanta.
See you both in a few weeks.
You going on the cruise, the marketer's cruise, Alan? I guess so.
Yeah, Alan always gets that corner like that.
Oh, with the huge balcony.
That corner with the huge balcony.
That's why we couldn't get it. Mm-hmm.
So, we'll see you, Alan. Are you bringing your wife again? All right, so see you both in a few weeks. He says he read the book, Work the System, by Sam Carpenter. Really good book, Work the System. Right, it's all about systems and putting the right SOPs and standard operating procedures and being able to run a business where you're not totally 100% doing everything, right? Which is more of my goal as well this year.
He said yes, he's bringing his wife.
All right, awesome. What else we have here?
That's it.
All right, so there you go. It looks like, and we're actually headed out for
sushi.
A date tonight, sushi. Right? Are we going for sushi or what? I want to go for sushi. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, definitely. All right, so 2019, make this year the best year possible. There's a lot that you could do there. I mean, and it starts by being intentional, right? So being intentional with your day, being intentional with your weeks, being intentional with your month, and that leads to being intentional with your years. And then also setting a goal to just live your best life, period, right? Snoop Dogg has a song out there, I think, Snoop and some other guys, living your best life, right?
I know
Snoop. I don't know who else is in there, but that's my goal is to live my best life this year. Yeah. You gonna do that with me?
Yeah,
all right, so we're gonna live our best life. All right. No, she gets. You get nervous on camera?
I'm not you love the camera. I'm not a camera person.
All right.
Ty loves the camera.
I actually don't.
I'm not a camera person.
Are you gonna let me? Okay.
Bye, guys.
I'm about to get myself in trouble.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll see you. Make 2019 your best year ever.